Like Canada's just commoditized real estate. So everyone wants to be a real estate investor. And there's nothing, if you want to jump on board 100% do it, but over 23% of homes that are being sold right now are from multiple property owners. So like that's a lot of homes being sold to people who want investments. And like, does that help first-time buyers? No, it really doesn't.
You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Hello! Welcome back to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast, your go-to source for all things related to the dynamic and ever-evolving real estate landscape in Ottawa. I'm your host, Paul Stevenson, and I'm joined, as always, by my esteemed co-hosts, Greg Campbell,
esteemed,
and David Warren. How are you guys doing?
Great.
That's it. Short and sweet today. Short and sweet.
Yeah, ChatGPT didn't go for the long road today. That was good.
You guys are waiting. I know this is usually when you look up your articles and you get things going.
Oh, yeah.
But
check a couple emails in the meantime.
I'm good.
Not today.
My ribs are feeling a little bit better. I feel better for the first time in 7 days, so that's exciting. I feel like I have a natural glow with the lighting maybe here. I don't know, but yeah, everything's great. Had a great weekend. It was my mom's 80th.
Wow.
Oh, happy birthday to her.
Killed that party. It was wild. Wild.
That's awesome. I did nothing. It was
That's
fantastic.
Nothing
First weekend, and I don't know how long. I was actually a complete homebody.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave, you look refreshed.
Yeah.
It's not your usual Monday morning, David.
No, I'm usually looking a little rougher for sure.
I didn't do too much. I did a lot of stuff around the house, which is great. Made it to Home Depot and Bed Bath and Beyond, wild weekend. Hockey series, I have to update everyone, CP. We're going to 7 games now. We lost 2 straight after being up 3-1 in the series. So now game 7 tomorrow. So I'll keep everyone posted on that. Gentlemen,
You're winning.
We're winning.
Jackson's
I hope so.
Winning. He's winning.
So
Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
We have 2 amazing guests today. We're just going to jump into it because they're sitting here and they look amazing and they just want to come on and chat. So, Greg, do you want to maybe introduce Brooke and Cortez? I know you reached out to them. They have another amazing podcast here in Canada.
I've been following them for a little while since they came out, and they came out with a big bang, and it made an impression on me because I was like, oh, who are these real estate people in Southern Ontario with the glossy look on the amazing Instagram reels and the great content. So very well done show. I've been following the Canadian Real Estate Homefront podcast for a while. Brooke, Hicks, and Cortez Ranieri.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it. First try. And I didn't even look it up.
First try.
I'm good with names. Yeah. Awesome. So they're realtors in the you're in the GTA, but mostly like Hamilton, Halton, Milton, in and around there, Burlington.
Yeah, Cortez and I are a little bit, we are able to cover more of the GTA because he lives in Toronto and I live in Oakville. So I do the Hamilton, Halton area, and Cortez mainly focuses more on the GTA. I won't speak for you, but he's right downtown. I will not go downtown. So we work together, but we cover a little bit of different territories, I'd say.
Yeah, I wouldn't go downtown either in Toronto anymore.
No, it just went down to 2 lanes for the next 3 years. So the main highway going downtown Toronto has gone to 2 lanes for the next 3 years. So anytime there's a Leafs game, Raptors game, TFC, whatever, avoid it at all costs. That is my PSA for today.
Yeah, don't come down here.
If you're making the journey from Ottawa to either fly or train.
Yeah.
Train's the best going to Toronto for sure. So anyway, well, guys, I guess tell us a little bit more about yourself. Let's start with Brooke and then Cortez.
Yeah.
Get into it.
Yeah. So fun fact, I went to school in Ottawa.
No, what school?
I did. I went to Carleton.
Okay.
Not for very long. So I pursued cognitive science. So I thought I was going to go the science route and went the exact opposite. So I lived up there for a little while, which is interesting. I can't wait to hear a little bit more about the market because I don't follow it at all. But I'm close to you guys often. I have a cottage in Campbell-Maric, so about an hour and a little bit away from you guys. So I'm up that way often. Anyways, about me, I've been an agent for 8 years. Recently, in the last 2 years, things have got pretty busy. So I started, I guess, a team. So I have a lot of girls. Cortez and I work together for the podcast, but there's also a team of women that work with us as well, just to kind of support with the busy seasons of real estate, I suppose. What else can I say? I'm an active investor. I have 2 duplexes in Hamilton. I have a condo in Burlington, and I currently live in Oakville. So always looking for the next deal. Cortez and I have really honed in this year on crunching numbers with the interest rates being so high and how to kind of work an investment in any given market. So we've geared toward investment real estate lately, I'd say. And that's why I have the team. They're, more the first time buyers or, the downsizers, where we're able to really get specific on investment real estate. And that's become a passion of mine. And because I do it myself. What else to say about me?
Just amazing. We can pass it off to Cortez and then we can just get into the conversation.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm similar to Brooke. I've been in the business for 8 years. I just fallen in love with economics and financial markets. I follow the stock market in the US as well. I'm an active investor as well. I definitely have my hands in a few different things. I like crypto. I like the stock market. I have an investment property, and I do private mortgages as well. I lend out some money there. And yeah, I just find markets fascinating. And Brooke and I went on her podcast that she was trying to start. And then I just started rambling on about economics and, what I thought about the economy. And then she kind of looked at me and said, "Do you want to do this together?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, let's stick to it for a year and see what happens." And yeah, we've amassed quite a following. It's definitely helped both of our businesses. And I think short form content has really put us in front of a lot of people. I think sometimes I'll be at the gym and someone will say, "Hey, are you that real estate guy?" And that's kind of what we always wanted from it. Like a lot of people what's the business model? Like, you guys are influencers. Like, not at all. Like, all we do is we give out as much free content as we can to help people make better decisions. And hopefully in turn, they want to work with us. So that's kind of our business model.
Yeah. We just started doubling down on the short form content in the last, probably 4 months, maybe. And it's made a huge impact.
Well, people's attention span has gone from however long, and it's just getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So it's like the shorter it is, the more people will actually watch.
We realize people don't want to listen to us ramble for 35 minutes about nonsense. So, that short form of taking what we actually have to say in that 30 seconds of 35 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, you always get the people I find that are fans of the long form content.
Totally.
Lots of downloads, and we get people that watch the whole show. They'll add comments, but I mean, for myself personally, I'm like, no, I'm just short form. Give me the info and let's get on with it.
So maybe you can
100%.
kind of let us know, what's the market, right? I mean, you mentioned Cortez, you're downtown, and Brooke, you're kind of in the outskirt areas. What are the two markets like? Are they moving in unison? What pockets are you seeing from an activity standpoint in the last couple months? Obviously, the numbers are for the GTA region that it's sales numbers has started to pick up again, and volumes. What are you guys both seeing?
Brooke, you want to start? You want me to start?
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny market because there are some listings that go in a second and still attract the bidding war situation where it kind of calls for that, where it's like, this is perfect for a bidding war. We'll get multiple offers. And I'm noticing that again, in the Hamilton Mountain area, which is quote unquote the good area of Hamilton. I don't want to be biased and say the other parts aren't good, but it's I'll call it more desirable. So the duplexes are the single families with the in-law suite that makes the first-time buyers able to buy because they can rent out their basement. It kind of becomes more affordable. Those are going pretty quickly, especially if listed in a bidding war and nice. The really unique properties in Halton will go pretty quickly, but there is still a lot. And obviously, if you look back, me saying there's a lot of inventory there's not a lot of inventory. But when I say that, I mean, I have listings that are over 30 days on market right now. And, we have to play around with it a little bit. It's not like a crazy time with listings. I'm not getting a crazy lot of showings on all of my listings. I have buyers that are active for sure. And people, I guess, getting used to these interest rates and wanting to, hop back in the market after maybe staying on the sidelines, trying to find out, what is kind of going on. Like, let's take a break and then maybe hop back in and try to get into the market. Yeah, it's, and it's, people hate when I say this, but I almost see it as kind of balanced in the term of, some listings sell right away, some sit for a little bit longer. You got to be creative with how you're going to present the listing, do all of the things, price it well. And all of that comes into play with a listing right now. It's not just throw up a sign anymore, of course.
Yeah,
It's pretty balanced.
That's very similar to like hear what you're saying. We talk about it all the time, where I'm sure it was similar from last October until, mid-January, where there were so many opportunities that a lot of people didn't take advantage of. And now there's more buyers out again. There's also more on the market, but still, like, the nice ones are getting the competition.
Yeah.
They're presented well, they're pricing well. So everybody's out going like, I want that one.
Yeah.
And then the ones that, they're still in this weird mindset, like it's however long ago, thinking that they can get more, and then maybe not listening to their agent, until they start realizing that, they should have. I mean, it's just human nature, right? So, from the sounds of it, it's similar to what's happening here. And I imagine it's happening in most markets in Canada right now as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can touch upon the Toronto market a bit too, because I kind of do Toronto to Hamilton. So like I know the difference between the two, and they're very different. So anything in Toronto that's like semi-detached, around 1.5 million, they're all holding offers right now. And you're getting like 10 to 15 offers at these like million plus marks. So for the audience, like you need to have 20% down. You need to be making like 200K combined, like just to qualify for these numbers. And there's a mortgage professional here too, so they can probably speak more to that. But it's crazy how many people can actually afford that, and how like desirable it is to own a semi in Toronto really is. And these semis, for the most part, like they're 100 years old. Like they don't have an ensuite. Like they're not the typical ones that you'll see in the new developments. And then last night I was in Ancaster, detached home, under 1.2 million. My guys loved it. We put in an offer and we negotiated the price, and we ended up getting it under asking. But it's just crazy the difference, right? Like I'm going into an offer today. It's listed at 125. We're looking at going well over asking, and there's probably going to be 10 plus offers. We have the check in hand. Pre-inspection was done. It's just very different to see the market and how crazy it can be. I think that Toronto just has like so much desire still and so much wealth, where maybe it's the parents helping the kids out, or maybe it's a downsizer, or maybe it's even foreign money coming through the system still that hasn't really been accounted for. You don't really know, but it's just boots on the ground. That's what I'm seeing. And a lot of other Toronto realtors are seeing the same thing, is just like these insane prices for a semi-detached home. And it just has you wondering at, a 5% interest rate, who can afford these prices? But yet, here we are on offer night with 15 plus offers.
And is that specific to that asset class of the semi and detached homes? Because it's got to be very drastically different from the condo market, I would think.
But yeah, so the condo market is taking a hit, right? So like 50% of investors own Toronto condos. So that's like quite an insane stat, but it is real. And right now, if you went to go buy a condo in Toronto, I'll give you an example, Liberty Village. If you bought a one bedroom, it'll probably cost you around $600,000 with condo fees, with 20% down. You're probably roughly around $4K a month if you bought the place. And if you rented the same place, you would rent it for about $2,500 to $2,600. So if you were an investor, you would look at that and say, wow, I'm going to be negative cash flow, $1,500. So then you take that pool of investors out. So 50% of people who would have bought those condos at lower interest rates, that's not there anymore. So the condo market, I believe it has 5 or 6 months of inventory like built up, but it still has like some desire, right? Like it still has like, you have the first time buyer, they're both working downtown, they might work for Shopify or TD or something like that. They're making 200K. They want to get into the market. Like they're still going out there and buying, but the condo market is a lot different than the detached areas of Toronto. That's for sure.
I just had an appraisal come back for clients, and for a new build, they signed in 2020. And it came back 150,000 light on a new construction condo downtown.
Yeah, I'm worried about.
Yeah.
I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that market going forward. Also, I'm seeing a lot of people message us on our Instagram, and I love seeing this because it really gives you an eye on the market versus like a headline that CBC has. Just people saying, yeah, we just got laid off. We're framers. We're the best in the business. We have I think it's a seal or something licensed carpenter, where they're just, they're the best out there, and they're not working. builders aren't building because they're not getting the funding or people are paying for it. So I think that's kind of a bad thing because housing starts are going to start to decline. But in our area, what they're building isn't even like, it's not even good for families, right? It's just like, what are you supposed to do? You know, our birth rate is down so much in Canada, and then we're building these 500 square foot shoe boxes. Like, who's really going to have 2 kids and raise them in these shoe boxes, right? It's just what they're building is not really fortunate for younger millennials.
I guess that's pushing everyone to that semi and that detached asset class, then, right?
Yeah, if you could get there, you know.
Yeah.
If you get a sweet gift of $1 million, like Donald Trump says from his parents.
Are you guys finding that? Are you seeing this at all, where friends are and families are kind of pooling together a bit? Like maybe there's a couple that's going to live in a house, but the money's not just coming gifted from the parents; it's coming from like friends investing in the property as well.
I don't see that personally. Like, if they're of Canadian descent, like if they're immigrants, I find that like they're very, they I think that's like part of their culture, right? I don't want to overstep, but I think that like, yeah, I think like they take care of the parents as they get older and stuff like that. So I definitely see like people posting about like all these cars in a driveway, for example. So I think that a lot of these multi-generational families who come here are willing to pool that money together and all live together. But in terms of like, you know, Canadian born, like a lot of, you know, my friends are like, I can't wait to get away from my parents, or like, thank God I'm away from my parents because I need that break. But yeah, that I can speak for that.
Yeah, definitely definitely a Canadian thing. People are just like, I'm out. Like,
yeah,
you're done with your family. Don't want to look after you. Don't want to live with you.
It's gonna change, man. It has to. Like, I mean, as long as things, it depends on where everything goes, obviously, right? Are you seeing? I got a question about new builds, especially like suburbs, I guess. So maybe a question better for Brooke, but I don't know, Cortez. There's a builder here, EQ Homes, that they just started launching their multi-generational new builds. So they're coming with basement units completely finished. So like 2 bedrooms, kitchen, bathroom, ensuite bath, like everything. And it's more of like, it's not like a basement, it's like a half, you know what I mean? Half out. So the windows are big. Are you guys seeing any builders starting to do that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
This is the only one I've seen do it, so I'm just curious if that's happening.
I like that, like in the Niagara region, where because think about like Toronto, there's nowhere to really do that other than put up towers.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And then, yeah, I'm not seeing that really at all. Like these townhouse developments that I see going up in Niagara, like you don't even really see that many townhouse developments going up. It's mainly condos. But in Niagara, my parents actually bought a new build townhouse, and there was the option for a walkout basement and a rough-in for a bathroom. And that's kind of as far as that got, which then could be converted. Like they would just have to block off the stairs. They'd have a walkout, throw in a kitchen if the bathroom's already roughed in. But I like that idea. It's just, it almost sounds foreign when you tell me that, because it's no builder are doing that. And I'd imagine they would sell well, right? They really would, if, you know, it didn't take so long here. Like even like the Hamilton, the permit process, we had a cyber attack, on the Hamilton, whatever it's called. So all permits, anything to do with getting something from the city right now is on hold, and it has been that way for about a month. So so it's just continuing to get backlogged. So to get your permits and to, you know, apply for rezoning and all of that, it's just, you're so far behind.
Similar to, I mean, auto permits, Canada permits.
So to that point, I mentioned to you guys I was doing a bathroom addition at my place, and went to the city in person on Friday, handed everything in with the drawings and so on, and they said it'd be 3 to 4 weeks for it's literally a plumbing, like a 12-foot plumbing drain that I need an approval for, and they're saying 3 to 4 weeks. So
yeah, that's
I can't
crazy.
imagine a full project, you know.
Yeah, this is where AI needs to come into effect, where it's like you submit the project, it has certain criteria that obviously I can't make this because I'm not an AI expert, but somewhere where it's streamlined, where it's like, okay, check mark, check mark, check mark, you've abided by all the rules. Here's your permit in, 2 to 5 business days. Like, just at the housing crisis that we're facing, it can't take like we're talking like people are waiting 1.5 years to add a basement suite. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you have someone who's an entrepreneur who's willing to pay the money to provide another house for someone to live in, and it's taking 1.5 years. Most people, it's like, I'm not even going to bother now. But if you incentivize people to do things, they're going to do them. So anyways, that's just my 2 cents.
It's also
on
why
that.
there's a lot of additions and things that get done without permits, because
Exactly.
it's not a matter of somebody not wanting to get it. It's a matter of the process of getting that permit, the length of time to get that permit, if someone adding a bathroom or doing an addition or whatever it may be. And it's really just that length to get that. And then the inspection time of how dragged out it is even for getting somebody out to
And
inspect is
assuming the
ridiculous.
permits are done properly the first time, right? If there's any sort of issue on the permit, then you got to reissue it and resubmit and so on.
And we just had a big chat about permits a couple episodes ago with a listing I had that the deal almost fell apart because of permits. They wanted these permits, and we were like, "There's no permits."
Well, it also didn't need to exist.
One of them didn't need a permit, and then the other one was the basement. But I mean, it's like, a super high-end contractor, great, whatever. It ended up being fine, but that's one of those things, right? And I'll tell you guys the story quickly here. My father-in-law built a deck at one point. I was here, and he's a builder, builds a deck, and then the neighbor, who they had kind of like a beef, and the neighbor calls the city on him. So they came over, and they're like, "No, you're gonna have to change this and change this." So it ended up, he started it in spring, and I don't think he was able to really finish it until like the middle of August or something like that. Had to be, all the back and forth and everything. So like permitting is just gross.
You have cars getting stolen every day. You have crime up. You have all these things up, and they're worried about your father building a deck. And like, what a waste of money and time.
Did I see that? Did you see that new thing about the cars being stolen, where they're telling you now to take the fuses out of your, like the ignition fuse or whatever it is? I was just like, man, can you imagine ridiculous. Like that's your new life every day? Get it.
I will say I saw somebody on the weekend finally with one of the
bars
on the club. The club's coming back.
Yeah.
There's the parking lot at Lowe's. They had like the bar on it. The club. I just died laughing because it's back from the 90s.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of buying or selling a residential property? Relationships are at the heart of every real estate transaction. At Geltin Poirier Avocat Lawyers, we love to bring residential buyers, sellers, agents, lenders, mortgage brokers, and the law together to close the deal for you. For an effortless client experience that opens doors, call us at 613-744-4488 or visit our website at geltinpoirierlaw.ca. Let's get to the heart of your deal.
One thing I took away, Cortez, when you were talking about the Toronto condos and so on, was the price of rent. Because rent here in Ottawa, I mean, for a row townhouse, like my daughter is 23. She's looking at moving out with some friends, or kind of just looking at a bunch of options. So I'm seeing a lot of these places come across my lap just because she's like, what about this one? What about this one? And I mean, it ranges from single family homes for $2,700 to row townhomes for over $3,000 here in Ottawa. And we're not even talking downtown Ottawa. We're talking like suburbs.
Yeah. I just did one over the weekend, $2,700 for a new build townhome.
So saying $2,500,
and like you guys said before about that, like they're losing every month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow, that's expensive. Yeah, I wouldn't expect that much in Ottawa, to be honest. What would a townhome cost you in Toronto? Yeah, over $3,500 probably. But yeah, even a condo, like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, is probably $3,300 a month. But yeah, you either gotta, like, the ultimate hack in life is to find a partner or find a roommate if you want to live in some of these cities, right? And then you start splitting the costs, and it's really not too bad, right? If you can get a 1-bedroom and you have a partner, you're $1,250 each. Like, it's totally affordable, and there's still really good jobs in Toronto, right? You work for a bank, you're making over 6 figures. Like, I'm not saying you're living a lavish life, but you can make it work if you do want to live in the city for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing with the one that we just did. It was 3 guys, and they were all in the financial world, working at the bank. Yeah. And at first, my client was like, what do you think? It's 3 guys, So we met them, and they were these great young professionals, well dressed, well educated, and he was like, I don't get it. Like, why do these 3 guys that are doing so well need to live here? I'm like, because it's fucking expensive, man.
Yeah.
I'm like,
bread is $7.
This is what they're gonna do. And I said, it's these guys. I'm like, these are great tenants. I'm like, you got 3 professional guys making over 6 figures each. I'm like, what else would you want right now as a tenant? You know what I mean? But
they don't want to be broke. They actually want to save some money.
Exactly, right? They don't want to be broke. They want to save, and they want to be able to buy a home within the next, 12 to 24 months each. right?
No,
Yeah.
Could be worse. Could be New York City, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about the market, what you guys are seeing. What are you kind of projecting for this coming year? I mean, obviously we're coming up to finish Q1 of 2024 and next week or this week. What are you guys projecting for your regions and for the Canadian market as a whole?
I hear coming up this year, like even like the numbers of how many mortgages are renewing this year and how many clients of mine are renewing and saying, panicking. I've calculated my mortgage is going to be this, wanting to already think about, okay, let's look at something cheaper. So I think when all of that happens and a lot of renewals come up, that could obviously put panic in some people's minds of needing to make a move. I think the market's already trending upwards a little bit in terms of activity. Obviously, when there's more activity, somebody sets a new benchmark price for the street. I don't think prices are going to fly off the handle by any means, but springtime is typically busier, and I'm definitely noticing that from, October to February, and then now just how busy I even feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna go up a little bit and then kind of trend down like this. I think we're gonna see like a little hump and then go back down, just in terms of activity for sure. And then paired with, they're projecting the rate decrease in June. I thought that was a little bit like Cortez and I predicted that won't happen till the end of the year, but now that inflation came in, what was it, 2.8? Now I guess that's the projection. So I think that buyers that have been on the sidelines for a long time, they think, okay, the minute rates start coming down, people are going to come back out. And that's a typical belief to have, right? I need to get in before rates start coming down, because if I choose a variable rate, I can get a better price and then my mortgage will come down naturally. So I think there is, and there always has been, that FOMO. And even when we look at what keeps buyers on the sidelines the most, it's not even unaffordability, it's economic uncertainty, which came in above an affordability in terms of what has kept a buyer not entering the market. So, I mean, it's been this way for a long time, that it's people, this is the reality now, rather than the shock of the interest rates going up slowly, that people are like, I can't do anything until I know what's going on. So I think the pent up demand over the past year of people sitting on the sidelines, and paired with the idea that rates will start to come down, is just getting people looking at the market again. So I think activity is going to continue trending upwards for sure. I'm already crazy busy. I think spring is just going to continue to be busy.
Yeah. I think like even at the beginning of the year, I was on this big train of like, maybe we'll see 2 rate cuts. And so far I've been bang on in terms of not seeing one early. Like all these realtors were pumping the market. Yeah, they're going to cut rates for sure. And prices are going to shoot to the moon again. Like, get in today. And I hate that kind of that stuff. I think you got to look at stuff very analytically and provide legitimate data to support it, other than just like what you heard at the office cooler. So like what we're seeing is, we saw inflation come down, which I was surprised, because the US inflation went up and we're coming down, which is a little bit strange. But what's really happening is the US economy is chugging along. They have great GDP per capita, and Canada's GDP per capita absolutely sucks. It's in the drain. The only reason why we have GDP that's remotely good is because we mask it with a ton of immigration. And when you have a ton of immigration, you have more people spending, because obviously they need to go buy clothes, they need to buy furniture, they need a place to live. Anyways, this could be a whole different podcast if I really got into it. But I think the market is just going to trade more flat as things go along. The only thing that always scares me is the irresponsibility of the federal government right now and their immigration policy. Like, who knows what they plan on doing? Like, they keep saying they're going to cut back, and that's just because they've gotten such a horrible rep and their polls are down so much. But I do think we will see a decrease in non-permanent residents, in students, as well as immigration, and that'll alleviate some pressure from the system. But we have so much pressure right now, that could be a 5-year thing. Like, that could be a very long-term thing. I think that Tiff Macklin should really consider not doing a rate cut this year. I think he should hold rates, because I just think that although there's a lot of renewals coming up, putting fuel on this real estate market is not a smart thing to do, based on affordability and based on our younger population who are living paycheck to paycheck, who aren't investing in their TFSAs, who can't get in the market, who aren't having children. What you should really do is you should incentivize young people to build families And rather than just immigrating all these people, you should say, okay, how do we get young Canadians to actually get into the market? How do we get young Canadians to have children and be productive in society? Because all you're going to have is people say, I don't want to live in Toronto anymore. I'm going to go to Calgary. And then you're going to have people in Calgary say, I don't want to live in Canada anymore. I want to go to another country.
Yeah.
And then you're just losing all this talent that Canada's built up over a long period of time. So my long-winded answer is I think Canada is losing its desirability, not just from domestic people, but foreigners. And I think that the market will trade sideways for the next little bit. It'll probably beat inflation. It'll probably be a good store of value going forward. Like you really can't go wrong unless we see some major 2008 crash. But yeah, that's kind of where I project things going.
It's exactly a lot of
Amen.
what both of you are saying. We've been talking about for the last, I don't know how many dozens of episodes weekly of exactly that. Like GDP, GDP per capita being negative and flatlined. When actually looking at it, the only reason why we've had any growth is from immigration, like you said, and from a rate cut. I mean, Tiff Macklem, even on his last announcement, it was specifically targeted of, I don't want to make any cuts too early because of it's going to foster and pent up the house or bring up the housing market. And that's kind of the number one, which they're supposed to be separate from the federal government. But obviously, he made a direct target of, we need to change our immigration policies and housing starts before kind of putting fuel on the fire. Yeah, I think we've kind of been the same sentiment of probably likely of kind of in that June, July timeframe for a possible rate cut and really kind of through the end of the year. I know over a 12-month span, most of the banks are saying a full percent, like 4 rate cuts, 1.25 kind of thing over a 12-month span from when they start cutting, not necessarily in 2024. But we see, I know Greg sees it as well, and same with Paul, but of a lot of our clients, Paul and I being on the mortgage side, so many clients pre-approved, sitting, waiting, that psychological aspect of not wanting to jump in until they know for certain that fixed or variable or the Bank of Canada is making a change. And they kind of think there's going to be a unicorn that nobody's going to jump back in the market. The rates are going to go down and they're going to be the only ones getting best deal kind of thing, which is topical.
And the thing is, if the market keeps going as it is right now, we're all doing work. It's busy. I mean, if it keeps up like this and they actually drop the rate in June, it's going to be a fucking nightmare. Explode. Like everybody's just going to come out and be like, yeah, let's go. When it's already rolling, right? And then it's just going to send everything right back up where it shouldn't be going.
Right? It's not even just like end users too, that like Canada's just commoditized real estate. So everyone wants to be a real estate investor. And there's nothing, if you want to jump on board 100% do it, but over 23% of homes that are being sold right now are from multiple property owners. So like that's a lot of homes being sold to people who want investments. And like, does that help first-time buyers? No, it really doesn't. And then you have, boomers who own their home outright, and they're like, well, like I'm not going to go to a condo. I'm only going to make $200K after I pay real estate fees and land transfer. So I'm just going to stay here till I die. Like, why am I going to move?
Yeah.
And then you have the millennials who saw their parents make so much wealth and they think they're going to make that much wealth, which I don't think is possible. But I do think getting into the market is important. I think living in your own home and like having that ability to not be kicked out, to make changes and upgrades and like raise a family is super important. But I don't think that you need to own 12 properties before you're 40 and things like that. And
I just want to interrupt quickly based on that. Like what I've always been of the mind when I'm working with people, especially first time buyers, I'm like, don't get caught up in this, like flipping home or like, it's a casino, like you're gonna make money all the time. I'm like, plan on being here for 5 years, maybe longer, where you're at. And I'm finding that now finally more buyers are coming into that mindset. Like you're just saying, Cortez, of like, we know where our parents came from, or where we might've been like, okay, I want to get my forever home first. Like it's it's considered an actual asset, good investment. You're going to stay there and build something. The last few years were just crazy. And I am finding that people now are kind of getting back to that mindset, which is what we need.
Yeah, 100%. My brother, he hit, before COVID, he bought this place in Oakville and it didn't work out between him and his girlfriend. And he ended up selling it. And, he made $100,000 and he goes, okay, how do I do that again? Let's do it again. I'll just go buy something else and make it. Like I looked him dead in the face, like as my own brother, I was like, you just got lucky. Like that doesn't happen. Like what we did with COVID is we borrowed, like everyone's like, where's the market going? Well, did we forget that it went up 52%? Like we borrowed from the future with extremely low interest rates that shouldn't have been that low for that long. Like 52% on leveraged money is insane. It's a crypto coin. It's Bitcoin, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
It's leveraged, right? Like you only put down 10%, say, and then your house went up 100%. Like you made more than 10x on your money, and you're not smart. You just got lucky.
No, and one of the big mistakes that people made too is that they took that money and then they started going crazy with it and investing more and more and more, and now they're over leveraged. They can't afford anything. They got to liquidate some of their properties, or they're just carrying these mortgages, and getting like you said, like $1,500 less in rent because they just figured that the train would just keep rolling forever, right? Brutal.
Don't get too drunk at the party is what they say.
You guys have a different market that's interesting too, with when we're talking about new builds and flipping properties and kind of for that profit of assignments. Like Toronto is big on assigning new build contracts. Ottawa doesn't have that. Most of the builders here don't even allow it in their contracts. That's obviously got to be a huge hit for both of your markets, I would imagine, for any new construction, because it's almost like caked in of any builders allowing for assignment of that purchase agreement. How have you seen that impacting the market?
Ooh, talk about trying to win the lottery.
There's a lot of buyers I find that bought for that purpose, right? Because if you had have done that approach 10 years ago, you would have a lot of money right now if you bought pre-construction and then assigned it. People that bought for that reason to do that, and now 4 years later, here we are in this market where not only is your value probably the same, if not less than what you bought, but nobody's really buying and picking up assignments like they used to. It's gotten a lot of people underwater. So I've seen these assignment networks where people are essentially offering money to take it off their hands. So people are willing to walk away. I just did one in Thorold. He, took a huge cut because he, like closing becomes an issue, right? When you project, okay, closing, this is what, I bought for. The rates at the time when you buy it, you're probably kind of within 2% of that, probably not expecting it to be 7 when you bought it when it was 2, and you were expecting to have some equity in it at that point, that if you needed to, you could just, sell it for, a little less than the profit margin that you would expect it to have. But now people are completely underwater, and not everybody, but people that are trying to sell their assignments, where this assignment network is like selling for a loss, selling for a loss, selling for a loss. So they essentially walk away from their deposit money and try to recuperate as much as they can on the money they've put down, just so they don't have to close on it. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And so anybody that wants to assign, I'm like, listen, you're in competition right now against the people that are willing to lose money. So if anybody comes to me and wants to assign something for a profit, unless it's this crazy unique project, then it's not going to work, because the competition is people willing to take a $50K haircut. So if you're trying to sell for a profit, it's just not going to work. And occupancy fees, like that's another thing that people didn't project. Like when I took possession of my new build, the occupancy fees when I had bought it projected to be $800. It came back at $3,500 for a 1-bedroom. Like that's a tough, right, increase. And now my 1-bed, 1-bath, the mortgage, it's $4,000 for a 1-bed, right? So buying it, the other people that were buying it, and obviously me being a realtor, it's like I will survey all of these kind of options, and any client that's worked with me, it's a little bit of a different story. But people that don't run the numbers like Cortez and I do in any worst case scenario situation of, can this still be a good investment, or am I going to be underwater at any given moment? There's some people that obviously thought it was the worst decision ever to do it. But no matter, like somebody can buy something 5 years ago and have assigned it 3 years ago and made $200K. They seem like a genius. Somebody that bought it 3 years ago and trying to assign it now, they seem like an idiot. And neither one is correct. It's just based on where the market is right now. You're a genius or an idiot based on how the market is performing. Like the COVID renovations, you flip a house, you make $200K. That one person that was 1 week too late when the market started coming down is an idiot, but it's the same thing. Right?
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. The assignment market is just, I don't know a lot of people doing assignments. Like I know there's Jordan Skrinko. He's precon.ca or something like that. I watch his videos too. And he like even just shows like price per square foot, like what's good. Like there's all these people are like lining up outside these buildings, right? And they have like this like insane FOMO, and they like don't want to consult someone who can actually help them. Like, just do a little bit of education watching YouTube or watching us, and you'll understand that this project is like, okay, if I'm buying it today at $1,000 a square foot, but resale down the road is, you know, 600-700, I need this thing to appreciate by 30% in 3 years. And then I got to get an appraisal on it. And then I got to get occupancy fees. And people go, oh, what are all these things? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then it's like, so if you hire someone like myself or someone who doesn't just open a lockbox, I know a lot of realtors just open lockboxes for people and go in and they're useless. But if you hire someone with value, then you can easily just like, my fee is so worth it, right? I'm going to save you from a headache. And, you know, to be honest, I'm going to save you for free if you just book a call with me, because I'm going to go over all the numbers with you. And then I'll convince you that you should go buy resale with data that's proven. So then when the tide goes out, you won't be sitting there naked wondering, what the hell did I just do? I just put my life savings into this project. It won't appraise. It can't close. Where am I going to get 200 grand from? Like, there's so many aspects of like these builders where people are just like, oh, they're ripping people off, but they're not. Their margins are razor thin. So if you as a consumer are stupid enough to go spend 40% more than what you could get in resale today, no offense, but it's true, then like that's on you. And that's your responsibility to get a huge haircut.
Yeah, a lot of haircut.
I don't have much to spare. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have much sympathy for these people. Like, it is what it is, right? If you think that you can't find good advice out there, you can find great advice, and it's all free. Like, you just go follow your channel or our channel, and you'll save yourself a lot of headache.
That's the thing that blows my mind, that just there's so much information out there now, and there are people who still don't do the work or think that they know because of an influence around them, you know, friends, family, whatever. Anyways, there's still a lot.
Yeah, there's still a lot, and these realtors are getting paid. Like, I'll get shit all the time, like 7% commission, like 100 grand on something, and it's like, I'm never gonna ever in my life recommend that to somebody. Like, that is just like, couldn't sleep at night. I'd be like, what a ripoff I am. I just sold out for money. That's never what I'm ever gonna do.
Look at Cortez. He's a good guy. Who cares? Like me.
Yeah. You care about people, you'll make more money in the long run.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to bring something up quickly, because we were talking about people buying at the cap and renewals and so on. So the Competition Bureau, which is an independent law enforcement agency that is there to protect and promote competition for the benefit of Canadian consumers, OSFI has rejected their recommendation to drop the mortgage stress test for lender switches for uninsured mortgages. So right now, this was a big thing a few months ago. You guys probably heard about it, I'm sure, where people that had insured mortgages, when they're transferring to a new lender, do not have to qualify under the stress test. So they can actually qualify at the contract rate. There was kind of a suggestion that for uninsured mortgages, that they would have that same benefit if switching lenders at renewal. And OSFI has rejected that, which means that everyone who is currently in a mortgage that isn't insured, when it comes time for renew, they're going to have to qualify at the contract rate +2 if they want to switch to a new lender, which means that there's probably a high likelihood they're going to have to renew with the same lender they're with if they can't qualify to switch. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds over the coming 2-3 years.
It's kind of funny the Competition Bureau brought that up end of last week, and OSFI already shot it down 2 days later. When the Competition Bureau is saying like, this is non-competitive and you're actually saddling people, like Brooke was talking about, of clients that are coming up for renewal thinking, well, I'm gonna have to sell now and downsize or liquidate because they can't qualify to switch lenders to actually save money on their payments. It's
who's paying the big wigs at OSFI, right? Like, why do we just smother competition in Canada? Like, it just blows my mind. Like, there's already 6 lenders, and you know, you look at the states and why they're insulated from all this real estate madness is because most of them have 30-year mortgages and they don't have to worry about requalifying. So it's just another Canadian thing, right? Our cell phone bills are $100 plus, our insurance is $200. It's because there's no competition. No competition leads to high prices and oligopolies. So,
And you kind of mentioned that with about the banks. It's another, again, today it came out of RBC closing 25 HSBC locations. They acquired them. It's closing shortly in a matter of days, I believe. 28th. Yeah. And they're closing pretty well all of the HSBC locations when HSBC's assets made them the 7th largest institution in Canada. They were allowed to acquire them and closing their locations. So again, to your point of just squashing competition for, the general public, whether it be just mortgages or any product in general. It's kind of crazy that
HSBC they always had the best rates, and just for consumers out there to know, right? Like now RBC, the biggest bank in Canada, just took them over. So I know RBC has their own in-house mortgages too. So if you're a mortgage broker, you can't bring business to RBC. No. So it's just another way, Christina Freeland said, oh, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. We'll still have competition. And, here we are. It's like, at this point, what I love about social media is like all these Canadians have woken up to like them putting the wool over our eyes for so long. And like, now it's like, you can actually put things out there and people can gain traction. And it's evident in the polls, right? Like, although things suck right now, I hope that by the next election, we'll have policies in place that can hopefully help us in the future. But there's a big mess to untangle here.
RBC
years of recovery.
Yeah,
years,
RBC acquired HSBC had 130 billion in assets, and they acquired them for 13.5 billion.
Oh,
wow!
Deal.
To your point of bring all of those clients, 800,000 clients in-house, to only be able to service them under RBC's mortgages. Most of those clients are conventional mortgages, and that's how they've acquired them, is on their short-term rates, and they can't.
Oh, now they can't transfer.
They can't then qualify
at RBC.
to change over to another bank or look at other options to move their mortgage.
Is this more racketeering in Canada? What's going on?
Well, as we all know, the budget will balance itself anywaes. So it'll all get better on its own. You don't have to do anything.
Oh, God. Well, you guys are in Ottawa, so I assume like what's it like there? Is politics more heightened there? I don't
Absolutely.
know. Absolutely.
I mean, every one of our friends are in the government. Like, we all know tons of people, whether it be on the Hill or in federal or provincial, municipal, all levels of government, basically. I think I forget the stat. It's in the 20s that of the population in Ottawa works for some level of government. It's pretty prevalent in a regular conversation.
And
do people want change there? Is that in Ottawa? Is that a big thing? Yeah,
I think a lot of it do, but I think a lot of the the higher ups don't, because they want their money for whatever it is, man. They just got to keep it coming in. They'll hire more people and they'll make more teams that they don't need, and all the money's just got to keep moving, right?
Yeah, our public sector is just extraordinarily funded, where it's like that and Uber Eats is driving Canada's job growth, which is fabricated, right? It's like, don't get fooled. The private sector's pulling back, and your tax dollars are going towards more jobs. So, anyways,
yeah.
Food boosts.
Yeah,
mood boosts. Yeah, we do mood boosts at the end of every episode, guys.
Jokes. Okay, this is always how it goes. We start talking about real estate, all positive, and then we're like, oh, what about all that negative news? And then we talk about that, and then we're like, all right, we gotta change the flow here. Let's get some positive vibes.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So I got 3 boosts today. Number 1, I accidentally dropped my pillow on the floor. I think it has a concussion. And number 2, what do you call a line of men waiting to get haircuts? A barbecue.
No.
And last but not least, number 3, there's only one thing I can't deal with, and that's a deck of cards glued together.
Thanks, Paul. So, hey, Brooke and Cortez,
I don't make these up as well, just to be clear.
I think this was a super informative and fun episode of the show, and we'll get some content out for you guys to. We'll tag you and all that. Make you collaborate if you care to share. Just let everybody know where they can find you online.
Yeah, for sure. We are just like at Canadian Real Estate Homefront on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And yeah, you can book a call with us. It's totally free. It's half an hour. It's just over Zoom in the comfort of your own home. If you're looking to move out this way, or even if you just want advice, we'd love you in our pipeline. So yeah, that's where you can find us. I'm at Cortez Ranieri, just as my personal account. And Brooke, you are at Brooke K. Hicks.
Yeah, the K is for my middle initial because Brooke Hicks was taken.
Yeah, you probably. Most people like to follow Brooke more than me, so I think it's evident why. I won't say why. But.
We put a poll on I put up on our podcast. There's a lot of followers there. I was like, I'm going to see what people think. So I was like, who's the better realtor, Cortez or Brooke? And it was strangely 50-50 after like how many votes? Like over 5K votes.
Well,
It was like teetering. So it's nice to see. So I think the guy-girl duo.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, we have a good female following. I think we have 20%.
Well, you know what? I think it was people didn't want to see me lose or didn't want to see you lose because like they're like, oh, I did that. So they voted for the one that was at like 49% because it kept Peter. I'm like, how is this staying so 50-50? So that's so funny.
Yeah, they didn't want us to fight.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. If you ever want us to come back on, this is it's an easy format. to
Yeah,
hop
for
on.
sure. For sure.
Yeah, just
Great.
send us a message and we'll hop on Zoom.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Have an awesome week, everyone. We'll see you next
too.
time.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.